Welcome to the Sweet Spot Podcast, where we're all about helping players, coaches, and parents get the most out of the game. Whether you're stepping up to the plate, coaching from the dugout, or cheering from the stands, we got you covered with expert tips, strategies, and insights to make youth sports a better experience for everyone. Each episode, we'll share our own experiences and bring on special guests who will offer valuable advice on skill development, teamwork, and creating a positive environment for growth both on and off the field. So let's dive in and make the game even sweeter.
Play ball.
Welcome to the Sweet Spot Podcast. We got a very special guest here today joining us. His name is Zach Neto.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Zach. Yeah.
Very happy to have you. This has been something in the making for a long time. So we're really excited that you're here, sharing some time with us. Telling us a little bit of your stories, your background, how you got into youth baseball and your trajectory all throughout to this point, major league career. So congratulations on your success so far.
Thank you.
Had an amazing season. Listen, 23 home runs, 77 RBIs, 30 stolen bases. That's not just
nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, man. That's pretty nice. I think that pretty much solidifies you as one of the best in the game right now. So happy and excited for you. So what do you think, man? How define your season last year?
I mean, it was a roller coaster of events. Just like any other season would be. A lot of ups and downs, more downs and ups. But it's just a matter of how you adjust and how you bounce back from those downs. At start of the season, it was pretty tough for me. Trying to get accustomed to kind of what the pitchers were trying to do to me, how they were pitching me. And it was just off to a really slow start. And I think just being able to, I had a conversation, it was kind of like first month of the season, had a very heart-to-heart conversation with my hitting coach after one of the games. I was pretty frustrated, let out some tears because, it's just how much it means to me, right? And us just talking non-baseball, just talking about life, just how I could become better, as a person. And I think just after having that conversation, it kind of really poured into how much trust I had in not only myself but my teammates and my coaches to help me get to where I am. Playing every day as a starting shortstop, it's everybody's dream. But actually being able to be there in the moment, I think that's where it gets surreal. And I had to learn that and understand that, especially having little time in the minor leagues. So I think after that conversation, I pretty much kind of just shot up, in everybody's, radar. And I started getting on a little hot streak there before the All-Star break. The biggest thing was just making sure I stayed healthy. Had my first year, had a couple injuries that I dealt with and knocked me out a little bit of the season. So that was the biggest goal, just to be able to stay healthy and play the whole year. But with all that, it came a lot of responsibility. We had our big guys go down, and now it was time for somebody else to step up. And I thought I stepped up in the right spot during the right time, and just try to help the team as much as I can, win offensively, defensively, on the bases. Just as a good teammate. And overall, I think it was a pretty special year. I don't really pay attention to the numbers, but now that my season's over and, you kind of sit back and look at it, you're watching your highlights, you're doing all these things, trying to get yourself out of baseball for, the off season and just trying to relax, and you keep seeing yourself and it's like, man, I had a really good year. And, it's something that as a player, you don't appreciate while you're playing just because you're not really paying attention to that. You're just paying attention to, did my team win or not? And so finally be able to sit back and see all that, I think it was pretty special.
Listen, I've been watching your highlights too, because my kids, that's pretty much all they play. It's like Zach Neto highlights over and over and over. So I feel like I've seen every single one of your games last year about 5 times each. So
that's awesome.
But again, at the end of the day, congratulations. One of the reasons I think, Albert, we discussed about having Zach, I think him being here is kind of like that resemblance of what we want to try to do with the show. What he's gone through in his career, everything we want to highlight. But again, those of you that don't know Zach, I've known Zach for a little bit of time now. This is an absolute gem of a person.
Yep.
Great human being, one of the great guys walking this earth right now. So if you know him, you should be proud. You should be honored to have him in your life.
We're going to be interviewing his father at some point in the future, and that's going to be a treat.
Yeah, but again, just the way he handles himself with the kids, especially. Right, my dad's always, and I told you this. One of the greatest things my dad ever told me is whenever I had kids, he said, anybody that respects your kids, loves your kids, and makes your kids happy, that person is family. Mm-hmm. So again, I want to send that gratitude over to you. Those of you that are watching in the audience that have kids, you know what I'm referring to. This man right here is my brother, same way Albert is. So you guys are definitely family. So I'm very thrilled to be here with you guys and enjoying the show.
Yeah, man.
So I appreciate you guys.
I know that it was a year of a lot of firsts, you know, but there's one that I'm very interested in, and it was a recent one for you. So I want to ask you, you know, what was your experience with your first youth baseball coaching?
Oh, me
getting your first win.
Yeah, that for sure goes almost on the top of the list. You know, getting my first big league win, first big league hit, homer. You know, that's its own level. But I think first of all, being able to get the opportunity to have that weekend with the kids was pretty special. You know, it's something I never thought I would do at a young age myself. You know, I thought it would just be, you know, just baseball, and until when I get older, then I'll start focusing on trying to help younger kids. But, you know, thankfully being around older guys in my system and on my team, they've kind of changed my perspective on trying to help the youth as much as possible now, especially at a young age, because you could kind of relate. So again, getting the opportunity to coach them that weekend, I think it was pretty special, not only to me, but to the kids. I would assume, you know, having a big league shortstop as their head coach. Fortunately, I was able to do it with you, so it was pretty cool. But it was just honestly a surreal moment in the sense that you didn't have to really win or lose. It was just a matter of being there at the moment with the kids, you know, seeing their faces, you know, seeing the conversations they were having with me and their teammates, and, you know, just be able to have fun, have smiles on their face. You know, we tied the first game after being up early, and then the rain came. Like, you know, the kids wanted to keep playing. Any other kids would have been like, no, like, let's go home. You know, like the kids wanted to play, you know, especially we were winning. And
against a good team.
Exactly. And then, you know, the next day we come out, we lose a heartbreaker, you know, at a play at home plate and to end the game. And, you know, it's like, I was telling you guys that night, because it was a day game. I was like, man, like, you know, losing in the big leagues is hard, but like, I thought that hurt me more than it did, just because, you know, like, you're in the huddle with the kids and you see the kids breaking down crying. And, you know, the only thing I can think about is, you know, I failed these kids. Or, you know, I look back at myself when I was that age and I was like, man, like the kids love the game. And that's what at a young age, like, you can't teach that. You know, it's got to be self-driven. And after that, I think I had an idea of like, all right, I know how to approach these kids the next day. I know how to kind of like motivate these kids that, hey, we're going to win this thing. You know, it's not going to be the easiest path, but, you know, if you guys know who I am, I never had the easiest path to anything. So I thought I was the perfect guy to, you know, take them through that and lead them through it. And, you know, we had the utmost fun, you know, I've ever had, you know, as a coach, me thinking like, I was like, this is awesome. Like, who gives a crap if we win or lose? Like, yeah. I'm having the best time of my life. I'm thankful that I set my weekend aside just to do this. Like, there's nothing that beats this. And fortunately, I was able to get my first win. And, you know, we got a win after that against the number 1 seed. And, you know, it was special. The relationships that I built with the kids, and, you know, how easygoing and how much of a sponge they were to, like, take in all the information that I was giving them, the wisdom. You know, it was honestly very special, and honored to do that.
On that note,
so those of you that don't know exactly what's going on, we brought in Zach a couple of weeks ago to help coach organization. It was a surprise to the kids, a surprise to the parents. Ended up being a surprise to, I guess, to you as well, because you know that's how baseball works, right? It's full of surprises. But we had an amazing time. I think that the kids are gonna cherish that and remember that for the rest of their lives. I think we are as well.
100%.
So again, just with that being said, proud to be able to say that I was part of giving you your first youth baseball coaching win. So wanted to dedicate this ball from the kids to you, and thank you for your time and your efforts with the boys. And again, now it's led to other types of relationships where they're playing Fortnite together and all of that. But just thank you for being a part of our organization and just a part of our lives.
Yeah, thank you guys. I mean, this is not to the level of my first big league hit, but it's definitely gonna be on that same shelf just because how important it is to me. So I appreciate you guys and all you guys that I coached that weekend. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about your own youth baseball experience. How was that like? What do you remember from it? Obviously I coach my kid. Albert has small kids as well, so part of this entire journey is trying to give the audience that perspective of, hey, how could we give you some information for those that are going through it or those that want to know a little bit more. This is all an experiment for us, right? Yeah. Like we're living proof of what we're doing on a baseball field, what we're doing at home, and again, being able to tell your story and what you remember from it. I think it's very important for the audience and those that are watching to kind of know about.
Yeah, for sure. It was a very weird path that I hope to God that no kid has to go through, but fortunate enough for me, it worked out the way I had to go through it. It was uncommon, very uncommon, but it was fun, very fun at the beginning. Started playing when I was about 3 years old. My dad was always my coach until, I got to 11, 12 years old. But, we had the same team growing up pretty much my whole life. And, we were very good. We had 3 coaches who their kids played on my team as well. But you couldn't tell who was their kid, who wasn't, just because of how fair they treated everybody. It was very tough, in this game of baseball, even nowadays, you need to have very tough skin to play this game. But I grew that very young. My dad was very hard on me on the field. My coach Manny and George, they were also hard on me as well. But at the end of the day, it's just what they want. They want the best for you. And it's something that as a young kid, you see it as something bad, right? But as I got older and I started understanding why they did that, and how the game has evolved to, man, this game's so easy now, because when I was 4 or 5 years old, I was getting, it was hard. My coaches were very hard on me. Like, I appreciate everything that they've done when I was young because of how much I understand it now. I think what we had going on when I was younger, it was pretty special. We won a bunch of tournaments. We went to different places to play in different states and different, different big worldwide tournaments, and, us always being on the top end of it. And I think it was pretty special, and things I'll never forget. My teammates, that I'll never stop talking to, even to this day, they're my very close friends. Even though, baseball didn't work out for them, it doesn't matter. They still see me as a regular person. I still see them as a regular person. And that's the relationships that you want to build, especially in this game. But here's where kind of like it hits a huge left turn. I get to 11 years old or 10 years old, and I'm at practice. My dad's not there, and I'm doing these one-hand drills, and I hear a pop in my elbow, me going up to my coach, hey, my arm's not feeling right, So he's like, hey, sit there. Don't do nothing for us to practice until your dad gets home here or whatever. So my dad gets there. He instantly takes me to the doctor, to the urgent care. They see a piece of cartilage missing, like chipped off, and we're like, dang, what? We don't know what to do. I'm only 10 years old, 11 years old. What do we do? So thankfully, my aunt is the head trainer at Miami-Dade. and she got me in to see Dr. Vijay, and on a very quick pace, and everything on the MRI came back, like this kid needs surgery right now, like needs it. But the unfortunate part was, I was too young, and I only weighed still less than 100 pounds. Like, there was no way for me to meet the criteria that I had to go under anesthesia. So, that's where I love Taco Bell. That's where this all comes into play, where, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, in between snack, it was always Taco Bell. Try to get your weight up to, 110 to where we could have surgery. So we were able to do that, had a successful surgery, just be able to come back through the process, rehab, and finally be able to play again. And, in the mix of all that, me as a young kid, still having that 10-year-old mentality, I'm going out to Sky Zone, and, none of my school friends are baseball players. So me here being the tough guy that I am, grabbing the ball and trying to throw it as hard as I can, trying to hit them. And, I ended up paying the price for it. My elbow ended up flaring up again, and my dad noticed it when we went to go actually start working out to practice for the Team USA tryout. He noticed my elbow just got super big, and I couldn't get down and pick up the plate without straightening out my arm. And after that, we went back to the doctor who did my first one, and it was something got messed up in my joint, that it looked like a crater, and like this whole 9 yards. And it was tough. It was tough for me, as I'm like, man, like I'm not gonna be able to play baseball no more. And I could just imagine how tough it was on my parents. But had a successful second surgery, had to wait another year, just kind of building up all over again. Haven't played baseball in 2 years, it's tough, and I mean, this is where I think it gets pretty special. Get to high school, and I get cut. I'm a freshman in high school. I get cut from the varsity and JV team. The coach telling my dad that I'm not athletic enough. So right there is when, at a young age, it kind of brings me down. It's kind of a shot to the gut. But as me being older now, it kind of motivated me to be better. Make sure if I wanted to get to where I wanted to be, which that's where I am now, I had to work even harder for it. So, my dad ended up transferring me out to Cole Park, and, did everything there. Started in left field my first year of varsity as my sophomore year. Made the all district team there. My next year, my junior year, I was starting third baseman, and made the all district team there. And then my senior year, when I finally committed, was my first year actually playing shortstop. Mind you, I was shortstop my whole life growing up, but thankfully my dad being my coach as I was younger, I played different positions. So I was able to do all that. And finally now my senior year, I'm playing shortstop. I'm committed to Campbell University, and it's the only school that gave me the opportunity to go play, and took full advantage of it. It's a place I call home now for sure. I go back to on a regular basis every year, and try to give my gratitude back to help those young guys. With my wisdom or anything I could do to help. I actually just got them a bunch of, I have a Wilson deal in my major league contract, but with my merchandise money and stuff, I hook those boys up. Like, I don't need no extra gear. Like, I hook my boys up. It's a motto I carry to myself that, everybody at Campbell knows, all my coaches know that, if you look good, you play good. So that's just my motto. So, but yeah, it's motivation. Go to college, and knowing that was the only school that gave me the chance, and mid-major school, and I go out, show out. Actually, funny story. My first year, COVID year, I'm playing in the South Florida League, and I end up getting a phone call from my head coach, and he's like, "Hey, like we think we want you more on the pitching side." I was like, "All right." So he's like, but go to the summer league, enjoy hitting, like when you come back, we'll focus more on pitching. Perfect. End up going to win I almost win the Triple Crown. I missed it by 1 RBI, but I win the Offensive Player of the Year. So my coach is like, all right, look, we'll give you the fall to kind of showcase yourself, whatever, but in the spring you'll be just a PO. And fall comes around, and I have a pretty good fall, so he gives me a chance in the spring, and I start out that year playing second, move over to first. I'm in the closing role now. So I'm playing third. I finished the year playing at short, but through all that time, I'm the starting pitcher midweek. I end up getting moved to the closer's role, so now I'm pitching, every other day, and it was a different lifestyle. It's trying to do anything I can to help the team win, and I got the call to go to the Cape after my first full year of college, and the day before opening day at the Cape, I get cut from my team, the team I signed with. Boom, get cut. I travel to another league that's in Boston since I'm already there, and I play for another league, the North Adams Steeplecats, and I get a call from the Cape again. There's a team from Brewster, and they need a shortstop. Their shortstop just got hurt, and they need a shortstop. So my agent got me over to Brewster, and the rest is history. I end up winning the Cape Cod Championship, which is probably the most memorable thing in my life besides my first major league hit.
I thought you were going to say coaching 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that too. But winning the Cape Cod, it's you only get one summer to do it, and you're playing with a bunch of other guys, and I feel it was pretty special. And not only that, but finally putting my name on the map of like the player that I was. That's where all the hype started. I was projected to go first round, second round, maybe top 5 rounds, whatever. But now all that attention is on me that I never had before. Right. So it was something to get used to, learn how to now switch from always being the underdog to now being like, all right, now all the spotlight's on me. Like, how do I, like, adjust. What's the transition?
Right.
And I struggled in the fall, struggled big time in the fall, me trying to do too much, me trying to be the guy I wasn't. And I will never forget this conversation with my head coach at Campbell at the time, him telling me before I went to Christmas break, him saying, hey, we got you here for a reason. And it wasn't because of all the attention that you have now. It's because of all the accolades and grit that you have earned while you were here. So just don't forget the person that you are, and don't let all the hype, distract you from everything else. And ever since he told me that, I think, everything else just played out for itself. I came out, won the Big South Player of the Year 2 years in a row. I was the first player from my school to get drafted in the first round. I was the first player in my draft class to get called up to the big leagues. Yeah. It all worked out the way I wanted to, as quick as it did. It was just all very special and very memorable. And I mean, it's not a very unique way to get to the big leagues, but it's like I said from the beginning, it was very uncommon, but it's just my story.
And a lot of people will, along the way, and this is something that I've realized now as I'm 40 now, and a lot of things that you reflect and you replay certain things that happen in your past, and you realize how everything starts taking shape, and how if what happened in 2015 wouldn't have happened, then what I'm going through now wouldn't be the same, or I wouldn't be ready to be able to tackle those things. And to the parents and to the kids out there that that have certain difficulties, whether it's health or performance or whatever it is, I'm a firm believer in certain things happen a certain way for a specific reason, and as long as you're conscious and you're aware of what's happening and you're paying attention and you try to realize the moment that you're in and what that can teach you, because there's going to be something in the future that's going to present itself, and without that lesson, you're not going to be able to, for sure, get over that hump later down the line. And it's a perfect example of that.
I wanted to ask you a question, Zach. Going back to your injury, do you feel like those 2 years that you were off because you weren't playing the game because you couldn't because you weren't healthy, did you miss the game more? Did it change your perspective of the game? Did it make you hungrier? Was that a moment in time where you could say, hey, man, this is where I realized this was my sport. This is my game. I missed it so much that it made me, want it even more. Is that it?
Yeah. I look back at it today and I feel like it was the most hardest time in my life in the sense of, I was 11 years old on my first surgery, 12 years old on my second one. All my friends and teammates, kids I go to school with are all normal. And I'm 12 years old, having 2 surgeries already on my elbow. Like I can't play. So I'm there watching my teammates, former teammates, and they're living it up, playing baseball. And while I'm just sitting on the bench, being a cheerleader, which that's not a problem. It's just at that young age, I want to play. And me getting told that I can't play or being physically ineligible to play, like it sucks. And I think that's what motivated me to be like, I don't care if I make it to the big leagues or not. I just want to be where my friends are. My whole life in high school, it was pretty much like I was very proud of it. My teammates being at the top of the list of all these perfect game lists and all that stuff, but then my name's all the way in the bottom. That motivated me and made me want to like, okay, I need to be just like my friends or even better. So it definitely was a big part of my life.
And is there like, what was that, hey man, like moment of like, yeah, I could really do this. Like I could really live out my dreams. Like where was that moment for you in your youth baseball or even later? I mean, I don't know when that hit you.
The I belong.
I think I would say where I belong here with everybody else. I think it was after my first year of high school. I had my best year yet. Batted 400 over high school. Had very it was my first full year of baseball since my second elbow surgery and finally getting the chance to play. So I feel like that's what gave me the chance to, or the mentality to be like, all right, I belong here with everybody.
So where do you go now? Like, what's your? I mean, we talked about your season last year. Is there anything in particular that you want to kind of say, okay, I want to get to this, right? Like, I this is where I gotta be next year. Are you putting that type of pressure on yourself to kind of repeat or excel what you did last year?
Yeah, everybody looks at it like, what are your goals? Do you have individual goals to set for yourself? Of course, everybody has their own individual goals, right? Of course, I want to try to have the same season as I did last year, or even better.
30-30.
Yeah, nobody wants to have a worse season, right? But I see it. I'm different. I think it's what makes me special and different to everybody else. I don't see it as an individual goal. I kind of just, like how my shirt says, just let everything happen for a reason. I see it more as, all right, are we winning? Are we doing what we're supposed to as a team? I really care more about, all right, what's our win-loss column look like at the All-Star break? What does it look like at the end of the year? Are we playing in October? Are we not? At the end of the day, the numbers will be there. If you're having a good season, the numbers will be there. But if you're having a bad season, that's when people start shifting their focus from the team to, all right, what are my individual numbers looking like? So for myself, selfishly, everybody has their own individual goals. But once season starts, once you run in between those white lines, it's pretty much the team over yourself at that point.
Yeah.
I wanna put you back in the in the DeLorean and take you back to youth baseball because I wanted to ask you along the way, who was one of these people that coaches that guided you, that made a huge impact on you and propelled you forward in your development?
Besides my coaches when I was younger, before I had my first surgery, I would definitely say my hitting coach, Jose Trujillo. He, you know, transferred over from Doral to Cole Park. You know, he was my hitting coach. You know, ever since my second elbow surgery happened, he was my hitting coach. And, you know, we were endless hours, endless time in the cages, trying to get back to everything that we wanted to do. And, you know, infield, defensively, hitting in the cages, everything. And him being my hitting coach at Cole Park at that time, it was pretty special, you know, having like your dad, your second dad there with you. And him definitely being a little harder on me than anybody else because of the fact that he wanted me to lead by example. He wanted me to he wanted me to separate myself from everybody else. And I think that's what made him very special into my life, something that I will always thank him for. I go to Campbell. He's always the first person calling me when I'm having a slump. I didn't have a slump when I was in college, but if I ever had any question, you know, he was the first person that I know that if I called, he would answer on the first ring. He was always asking how my health was, everything. You know, get drafted. He's pulling up to my AA games in Tennessee. He's everywhere. But it just shows the guy that he is, knowing that it's not only about baseball. It's about the relationships you build in the baseball community that will always last forever.
And was he the mastermind behind your leg kick?
He was. You know, it started early, but he was definitely the mastermind for it.
How did that take shape, form?
Like I said, I was never the biggest kid in the room. So I was always trying to be like everybody else. I wanted to hit homers at a young age. I wanted to drive balls 100 miles per hour off the bat. So I remember we had just tried it out for the first or second day doing it, and it was all over the place. But I was like, screw it, why not? I'll take it over to a tournament, whatever. It can't get any worse. So I ended up having a really, really good tournament, and I was like, well, I think I found, you know, I think I found who I am. And it was just a matter of hours and hours and unlimited amount of baseballs that I've hit in my life that could just master that leg kick. And it's still not mastered. As much as I think it is, it's still not mastered. Right. There's always things that you know, do differently, or you have to make better because now pitchers are getting smarter. It's always things that you're changing, but I understand the basis of it. I understand, all right, when I can't use it. You know, it's different things that you learn within the game, when to use it or not. And
do you tweak it from at bat to at bat, or game to game, or pitch to pitch, like depending on? Yeah, you know, I've always been told this my whole life, and I've never believed it until I got to the major leagues. There's a big difference from little league to high school to college to minor leagues, and minor leagues to big leagues. With that difference being, in little league to high school, batters make adjustments. What, months, you know, years into training. High school to college, you make those adjustments, you know, each other week or every other week. You go from college to the minor leagues, now you're making those adjustments, you know, weekly or you know, you wait till the whole game finishes. Minor leagues to the big leagues, the biggest adjustment is minor league hitters are making an adjustment every at bat. Big leagues, you're making adjustments every pitch, which it goes a long way. You know, that's the difference from being 0 for 1 in the day than 1 for 1. Right. You know, so I think it's just learning when and when not to use it, and just be able to adjust.
Yeah. So with that, I think we discussed a lot of times what we see in youth baseball, right? And there's these kids from what you saw from the tournament, you know, they'll cry. They have a lot of emotion. A lot of it is relationship with fear and not wanting to fail, not wanting to strike out, not wanting to make an error. What could you tell them that could help them avoid that? What could help them get through that, make them understand, you know, because we have a hard time doing it, right? Like, and I know we know it's a process and it comes with time. But what could you, as a major leaguer, tell them about that type of mentality, right? Like, hey, it's not the end of the world.
Of course.
You strike out, you'll get another at bat, you know?
Yeah, I think it. I was like that when I was a young age. I hate to fail. I know I was the first person, crying all the time whenever I didn't get a hit or get on base. Made an error. I was always crying. But as I got older, it was something that I had to learn that you're gonna fail more often than you're gonna be successful. Thankfully in college, I had a very successful college career where I didn't really fail much. So unfortunately, I had to learn that in the minor leagues, and having a short stint in the minor leagues, in the big leagues, I learned everything in the big leagues. And in the big leagues, everything is hard, very hard. You're facing guys who have been in the league for ever. Like I'm talking years, and have your first day in the big leagues. Like it's tough. And just knowing that as you get older, they're expecting you to either know what you're supposed to do and do it, or hey, look, here's how it's done, do it now. That's the difference between you playing and you not, right? And that's why I always try to tell all these kids, like you guys got to have fun, man. Like this game is supposed to have fun. If you're not having fun in this game, like there's no reason you should be playing it. Like there's no reason. Like this is the only game in the world that you could get 3 hits out of 10 at bats and be a Hall of Famer. If you're in basketball and you make 3 shots out of 10, you're terrible.
You're not very good.
Yeah. It's not a good day. Not terrible.
I was going to name names, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. It's not terrible, but it's not a great night for you. So that's the difference like that in baseball. And those young kids need to understand that at that young age, so it doesn't affect them as they grow older. And so they learn at a young age rather than learning as they get older when it might be too late, But that's why like having the opportunity to coach those kids, like I would always preach, like, guys, like who cares if we win or lose? Like, let's have fun. Like that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. This is my first time ever doing this. And like, the rest will happen. And that's where you build those relationships, like how I have now with those kids who now I know every time I play, they're always going to be watching. They're always going to be taking notes. They're always going to be, supporting me. And as a young guy myself in my locker room, being able to have those kids look up to me now, I think it's pretty special. And that's why it makes my job even harder now, because I have to be almost perfect. So even on my bad days, like those kids should never be able to tell if I'm having a good or bad day.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, I think you have great leadership characteristics, and that's one of the things that we want to build with all the kids that we have, right? It's not just about the development on the field. It's not, it's mainly about the men that we help them become. And I wanted to ask you, I know you guys have a lot of great vets with the Angels. What stands out to you? Like, what is it that vet move that they said, man, that guy's a leader. When I get older and have a couple more years in the league, I want to be like that guy. Is there something that stands out to you?
I think it's, all the vets everybody has their own routine, their own way of going about their business. The thing is, I see the difference between myself as a young player who's trying to figure it out and Mike Trout, who pretty much is one of the best players of all time, if not the best. He knows what he has to do to be great. He knows what he has to do to make sure his body, his swing, his everything is in the right position to be successful that day. And another thing, like I look at it in advance, like, okay, like tomorrow I'm going to have a good day. He doesn't look into tomorrow. He doesn't look into yesterday. He looks into where his feet are and what he's supposed to do that day. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for nobody. And that's the way he treats it. And me, luckily having Mike Trout as my teammate, it's pretty special getting to see his everyday stuff, everything he does to prepare himself mentally, physically, to get ready to play that game and just see how great he is.
And you're detailing something that's very crucial, and it's the process.
Yes.
And one of the things that I preach to the kids on a daily basis or whenever I see them, specifically before the game starts, it's, I don't care about the result. I'm not looking for the bomb or the triple or the diving play. Like, I'm looking for the process. The result will come. And if you focus on, the tasks that you have to do, the things that we're teaching them, then, it's okay. Like, your approach at the plate, you don't need to throw a helmet, get angry, complain about the umpire. Like, focus on the things that you can control and that process.
Yeah.
And what you're describing is at a very high level. It is that process. Like, be present, be where your feet are, exactly what Trout does. And we're trying to, get that across to the kids now. Like, okay, you struck out. You're still going to get 1, 2, 3 more at bats.
No doubt.
Pick yourself up and, I wanted to ask you something really quick. You don't have to name names, but I want to know toughest at bat.
My toughest at bat, there's been a lot of the guys in the big leagues are nasty, and they're going to just continually get nastier. I remember my toughest at bat being Chris Sale. Last year, I hit lefties pretty good last year, but there was just something about him that it was just different. It was something that I couldn't pick up his pitches. It felt like he was one step ahead of me. Like, whatever I thought, he did it. He was already thinking of that 2 pitches ago. Like, so I think that's the young age that I have compared to him having almost 10 years in the big leagues, if not already 10, like, that's the difference between, an older vet and a young kid like me. And he pretty much toyed around with me. It was bad. It was very bad, but it was a learning lesson for me. Now I feel the next time I face him, I'll be more prepared, know what his stuff looks like. But yeah, tough as that bat for sure.
All right, I got one more for you. And it's something that very much interests me in general, and more specifically about athletes. Like, what's the fuel to your engine? Is it the fear of failure, or is it the hunger of excellence?
I think that question kind of combines into one answer. Everybody's wanting excellence, right? Success, just trying to be productive that day. But knowing how baseball is, there's always going to be failure. And the best part about it is that you don't know when it's going to happen. So when failure does happen, it actually fuels me and motivates me that I messed up. I know what I have to do. Now I know what it takes to be great. And sometimes you're going to fail again. Like, you're going to fail back to back and more times. But there's going to be that one excellence that's going to happen. And you're going to be like, damn, that felt good. And it's going to be one of those that you sit back and you just
soak it all in.
Yeah, you soak it all in. It's something that you're very proud of. But the greatest thing about this game is that you still have to run back out there and keep playing. It's something that you soak in for a little bit, but then you got to go out there and play. And, knowing how the game is, you could either screw it up again or make another excellent play or another excellent at bat. Like, that's what's so great about this game and why I love it so much. And it just motivates me to be great, but becoming great, you're going to have to fail. And a lot of guys don't understand that at a young age. Everybody wants to be perfect. Nobody's perfect in this world. And the only thing that you could get close to perfect is at practice. If you practice in practice, if you're practicing yourself to be perfect, to be doing everything you got to do in the game, then the game should just be easy to you when it comes game time, But as I go to different places and, I'm watching as a spectator myself and I see, different games played or seeing different teams practice, it's like, man, what are we doing? Like, are we trying to teach these kids at a young age how to play the game the right way?
Right.
Or are we just here just to pasar tiempo, you know? Like, and that's where, the game has to change, especially at that young of an age, just because it's evolving into something where that's not supposed to. And I think that's the difference between, failing and having excellence in this game.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell the kids is you're going to learn a lot more from failure than you are from success. So that's generally we're never looking
At all.
I'm never really extremely proud when we win. Again, don't say that to the kids. I hope they're not completely watching.
They're gonna watch, man.
We want to compete, right? Like we want to
course.
compete, and that's the goal, right? You always want to try to win, but there's just so much value in failing because you're gonna do it so often, right? Like
Especially
it's
at
just
this stage
constant.
that they're in.
It's constant. So you learn so much about yourself from failing that it's actually a tribute. And if parents see it that way, if coaches see it that way, if the whole community sees it that way, then I think the journey of their childhood, their youth baseball careers are just going to blossom even more, and they're going to enjoy it so much more because they accept it. They accept that it's part of the game.
Of course. Especially, at a young age, like you always hear, practice how you play, right? I honestly see that as the most truthful statement there is, because you're there lollygagging, before the game, eventually that's going to carry over to the game. You got to bring what you're supposed to do in practice, and it will carry over to the game. And if it doesn't, the game will haunt you. This game is very superstitious, and and
the ball finds you.
The ball will find you. And it's like my parents have always told me my whole life, you never know who's watching in the stands. It could be big league scout. It could be a college coach. So it's always practice how you play, and just make sure that when you get home that day, you say, I gave it everything I got. I could go to bed.
Okay. Last one, because we know you got to go.
Let's do it.
You talked about organizational goals, about team goals, and personal goals. Personal goal, one or the other. And the options are All-Star or Gold Glove.
What's more important?
Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, because they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Because you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets. Because we know where we at, we know we top tier. Because all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up. We gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise. Yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win. And I'ma do it again.
I mean, individually, I would love to get, either one of those. All-Star.
Yeah, not that easy. You gotta pick
All-Star.
one.
Hey, listen, we're hoping you get both.
Yeah,
Right? But
of course.
So here's my thing. All-Star is something that you will always have forever, and you'll enjoy for that week, right? Gold Glove is something you're gonna have forever, and hardware that you bring back home. So I would for sure say a Gold Glove.
All right, guys, we have an exciting contest. Nice news to let you guys know. We have 2 signed Zach Neto batting gloves. We're going to be announcing the winner in 30 days. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll let you know who the winner is. Thank you for coming, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bubba.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Hope you had a good time. We had a blast. Thank you for watching the Sweet Spot Podcast. Hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next time as we talk to Zach and his dad. So tune in for that one.